Shakespeare's day was regarded as a sign of the devil. So not only was Richard not going to become king by divine right, but because of his hunchback, and because of his deformity and all that, he was actually meant to be more linked to, not God, but the devil. And that's something actually we find out about him as well. Okay? The truth is, he did have a bit of a curvature of the spine. But is it fair, really, to characterise this man, because he was deformed, for all the other things that he does well, as aligned to the devil rather than God? And we'll talk about why Shakespeare did that in a moment. Okay? Well, I'll tell you. Actually, I'll tell you now. As I said, the man who killed Richard at the Battle of Bosworth Field was Henry Tudor. Henry Tudor came to the throne in 1485, and he was there as King Henry VII until 1509. And in 1509, his son comes to the throne, and he is called Henry VIII. They're not particularly original with giving names to people. Okay, and he was called King Henry VIII. And we all know about Henry VIII and his 6 wives and so on. Now, after Henry VIII, you have his son, who is called Edward, and he dies very young. And after Edward, you have Henry's oldest daughter, who's called Mary Tudor. Okay, sometimes called Bloody Mary, but Mary Tudor. That's the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. When she dies, Elizabeth I comes to the throne, and she's on that throne for almost 40 years. Okay? Now, if you think about it, if Shakespeare had written Richard III, the character of Richard III, as anything but a villain, it would have been not just professional suicide for him, but he could have had, he'd have been quite a lot of danger, because what's he saying there? He needs to be saying that the grandfather of Queen Elizabeth I, Henry VII, took the throne rightly. He took it from someone who was bad and had to return God to the country. So that is the reason why Richard III is written as such a terrible character. Historically, we don't know that he was that bad. And to be honest with you, any medieval king had to be a bit of a so-and-so. Any medieval king is likely to be quite violent and to have taken his throne and maintained his throne through violence. And Richard would have been any different in that way. 3 other things that I could just sort of tell you about Richard III and the character. This is to do with drama. Richard's character is known as a showman. He's always playing up to the audience. As I said, the soliloquy, the only Shakespeare play to open with a soliloquy is Richard III. Okay? So he's always the showman, always playing up, he's always being very extreme, okay, about how bad he is. He is also what we call the vice character, which means he is the personification of, the epitome of evil. Think of all those pictures of him all dressed in black, okay, saying this is the bad thing I'm going to do and enjoy watching me do it. Okay? So he is this absolute epitome of evil. And the last one, which sounds a really difficult word, it's spelt difficultly, he is called the Machiavellian character. Okay? Which actually is far more simple than you might think. The Machiavellian character basically says, what I want to do, I will do anything in order to achieve it. In a very, very simplified way. Okay? The Machiavellian character is that character who's not always honest about things, does things in quite an insidious, hidden way, always working in the shadows, gossiping away, manipulating people, but it's in order to achieve a particular goal. It's how actually power was changing at this time. Previous kings, medieval kings, you can imagine in suits of armour with swords on a battlefield and things like that. You think about where power lies in our country nowadays, it's not with the Queen, it's not with Elizabeth II, it's in politics. Someone like Boris Johnson and all those people are what we call Machiavellian characters. They're scheming and plotting for, they would argue, the greater good. Okay, so the showman, the vice, and the Machiavellian. You can pause it on that, okay, because some of those ideas are a bit complex, but they will improve your understanding of when we start looking at the play itself. Alright. Now, I'm going to pause this for a moment, and I'm going to come back to you guys in 5 minutes, okay?